like I am kind of rushing this a little bit. I mean, I could have waited, but like honestly, like if StreamYards is cutting me doing an hour, it honestly doesn't matter at this point. So my thing has started. So muting, fastest muting ever. I really got to start doing that. Like just on every other channel that I have, just mute them before I start these. But anyway, we've got it started, and hello guys, how are you doing?
Hello. Oh, Functional, you sound rough, my dude.
Well, I just got home from grocery shopping, and I've been in an extreme amount of pain the last couple days, and it's not good.
Oh,
Well, then it's good that we're keeping this a little bit short anyway. Like I know I'm rushing it, but it was just like I said, like I knew this was going to happen with Blood because his laptop was old, but I was kind of hoping that he would set some money aside just on the oopsie cases that something would happen. But you know what? Well, shit happens, and I know where he's at. Like, I mean, you know, he's probably just got some money for the first time, earning his own wage, and he's probably, you know, he's got so many grandkids and bills and shit and stuff like that. So, like, my understanding of the situation is there's a couple of guys who are setting up a laptop for him for the meantime. I don't know what all it's going to be able to do. So I just figure I've got his StreamYards in my description. I think it's down there. Yeah, it is there. So I'm going to shield this during the stream for anybody who's interested. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to spam it that much, you know, but like I might pull a star and just open it just because like anything that we can do to help him out at this point would probably be good because he said like it's going to take him a long time to be able to make up the funds to get something properly set up. And, you know, YouTube is kind of dying as it is, but you can't do that on YouTube. Your channel will die. And we don't want to lose Bloodewing. Well, for one thing, we don't want to lose him for a year. Like he thinks it's gonna take him a year. I'm like, no, dude, you're pretty old. I'm sure you can honeypot it, and like every time you get paid, just set aside, you know, $100 and you know, and just get a laptop. I mean, we are gonna absolutely help him out. You know, I don't doubt that everyone's gonna send him like $50 or something once they get a chance to. But I'm just gonna help that. So, I do not know if Alex is going to join us. Like, I'm not going to make any promises on that one, but I did ask him to come in just because he knows everything that's going on. He is in contact with them. Like, nothing's wrong, you know, like Bloodewing isn't dead. Like, he's not hurt. It's just, you know, I don't want to go a whole year without the Star Trek thing. You know, like that shit's funny. And there's his regular streams, and he, you know, he's always helpful for everybody else. Like he helps share everybody's link, and hi Serenity. We're like, if you don't mind sharing this one out, like it's not just to shill me, it's more for Bloodewing than anybody else because his shit died, and he's in the situation that a lot of people are in. So obviously, if you can't do anything, you know, like just sharing it. Just sharing is a lot, you know, especially considering, you know, he's really talented. We love watching his stuff, and you know, you should subscribe to his channel anyway. Go check out his redneck trek.
So funny.
It's fantastic. A redneck in outer space.
We should just start referring to him as the Witcher.
Toss a coin to your Witcher, oh Valley of Plenty.
I had to clip this song.
Elwyn
will tell you. I will play it on YouTube.
His computer has died. His computer, his laptop, his
virtual presence has died.
So his situation right now isn't good. Like he's pretty much paying for his bills and his living situation, and that's it. You know,
he just started his job, so the income isn't solid yet.
No, and honestly, he's a priority fella. Like, I mean, when it comes to his priorities, he's gonna direct the funds that he has towards his family. Like, and I don't blame him for it because that's what you do when you're a good grandpa, and he's our internet grandpa. So I just I want to give people a chance to you know just let them know that something's going on. And honestly, if all of us who watched him like sent him $10, he's halfway there to a laptop.
Oh, Skittles, you're here? Okay, I have to play this again.
Toss a coin to
Hi,
your
Skittles.
richer, oh valley of plenty.
Okay, I got the audio clip.
Oh,
Toss a coin to your streamers, oh valley of plenty.
How you doing, Skittles? Yeah, I'm just I'm doing a shill stream for Bloodewing. It's one of those things where like I like to pitch in for our community when I can. Like I don't have the funds like many people. Like I mean, tomorrow I might have had $5 to spare them, like, which isn't a lot, but you know, it's what I can do. But tomorrow I'll definitely try to see what I can do to help them out. You know, even if it's just $5, I can at least do that much. But
not to mention we're doing what little we can do in getting our voices out there. You know, the bad things like, or I shouldn't say bad. It's not, you know, a bad thing. It's an unfortunate circumstance. On a positive note, I don't know if you heard, Drunkle's channel's not completely deleted. So
no, but I heard a lot
channel's
of his
back, which is good.
Yeah, I'll have to investigate and maybe watch Monkey's stream back when I'm done this one, because it's going to be short, because StreamYards has dictated my time to me, even though they can't read calendars very good apparently. But
yeah, that's so weird. It's a new month. Your time should be like reset.
I mean, I didn't stream anything yesterday, so I'm like, so unless I was stream walking a lot, I don't know what happened there. You know, maybe my brother was like, yeah, I'm gonna stream some porn on my sister's StreamYards, even though I don't know how to use this or even what it looks like, or that it's a little duck icon at the top of her. Yeah, I don't think that happened. So, there's just that. But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna look up what's going on with Drunkle, because I heard a lot of his stuff was deleted, and I don't know. It'll be from his word on how much of it was stuff he took down, or if it was stuff YouTube took down. And it's yet again one of those things, like, that's fine, but they should really tell you what they're taking it down for. You know?
Yeah. If
Because
there's a clear and present violation of their terms of service, yes, but I'll still maintain that half of their terms of service is bullshit, because it actually purports to circumvent the law. Yep. And there's still platforms like Twitter, like fucking YouTube, are still hiding behind Bill 230 of the publisher protection shit. And the platform protection shit. And they're not a platform if they're constantly curating stuff. And if they are curating stuff that's against, you know, the law, terms of service, or whatever, and then not telling their users, because this is not a new story. What happened to Drunkle is not new. There are countless people, bigger names like Sinatra, whoever, who are having shit yeeted. I know God Sad the other night, he went to post his newest podcast. Big fan of his, because he's a funny and intelligent guy who really gives it to those SJW bastards. And before his videos even go live, they're already demonetized or already put in a protected state. It's like
and how
breaks my brain. It's so illegal.
How can you really learn from what it is that they don't like about your videos if they don't tell you about it? Like, don't get me wrong, I don't want to completely conform in every single way, but at least if they tell you what it is that they're looking for, you can try to work with that. You know, and Drunkle is a smart guy. He's very capable of looking at it and being like, okay, well, let's try it from this angle. Like, tell me what it is that you want me to do. Because if you know, we are reading your rules and we're abiding by your rules, but you're taking down our channels and then taking down our stuff without telling us what's actually wrong with it, then what are your rules actually about?
Whatever we feel like at the moment.
And that's basically what it is. And it's just like,
Skittles, your stuff got murdered?
Oh, no.
I mean, you got struck too.
Yeah, they murdered and then unmurdered.
Maybe it was a sound clip or something, a musical clip, or... Oh, man, that sucks.
You know, I've simplified the heck out of this thing, because honestly, all we do is like the StreamYards, pretty much. I've got Snow Mexican, I've got like Mike from Canmore, and that's it. I'm like, and they're like, you know what? If that's all she's doing, that's fine. But luckily, I don't think anyone in here like we're pretty fairly PG. Like I don't usually.
I'll do what I want.
Sure, but we've been pretty good. I mean, there's been
Yeah.
some times where like I probably could go absolutely horrible.
Well, I've told you about how previous videos of mine that I've used 100% completely original compositions of my own in the video and get struck down by BMG because they claim it's their music. This is illegal. And in my appeal to YouTube, I said, this is illegal. What they did is illegal. They're claiming my intellectual property as their own and preventing my videos from being live. You guys are now complicit in this if you are going along with them, and they have given you no evidence to say that that is their music. I can bring up every last little bit of sound what are they called? Sound clips, samples, everything. I can show everything and be like, look, I can even show you the SoundForge workspace in which I composed everything. It's so infuriating. I mean, in a case like that, I kind of feel a little jealous for Bloodewing because he knows exactly what's wrong. His computer fucking died.
Yeah.
Some of this, it's just like.
And honestly, with his, it's like I said, it's not a hard thing to fix. Like I'm gonna share his stuff every time once I get my stream hours back.
Yeah, a couple $100 in total, and he should be able to afford a decent enough laptop that he can do streams and some basic stuff. I mean, he's not looking for. We're not looking for to get him, a top of the line PC or anything. No, just something that he can keep doing his hobby. And if people can help out with that by throwing a couple shekels here and there, great.
And honestly, like decent gaming laptops aren't that expensive anymore. Like they're not as bad.
Yeah.
So like I think it's better for him to I know a PC in the long run is what everyone wants, but for him with his setup, being that he's half the time he's in his bed because he can't get up, I think he's a lot better now. Like I don't know, but a laptop would work. And that's all he's asking for right now. I don't even think he's asking. Like I think, I honestly, we're doing this on our own because I've
seen people in the community too, like in other people's channels saying, "Oh my God, Bloodewing, blah 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 blah." And they're not, being that hyperbolic, but I mean, they're mentioning the fact that he's going to be out of commission for an unknown amount of time because of this happening. So.
I think it's community and it's greed, because I don't want to go like a half a year or a year without Bloodewing, not really,
Yeah, it's funny stuff, and I want to see the next episode of fucking Redneck Trek.
Yeah.
God damn it, YouTube.
So listen up, old man. I don't know if you're hearing this on your phone or if your son will ever share it with you, or maybe Alex will share it with you, because from the heart, man, like if we're helping you out with this, don't take it as like pity, like take it as like part greed from on my behalf. I don't want to go a year without having to watch your stuff or having a conversation with you and stuff like that. No way. And I know everybody who knows you feels exactly the same way. So this isn't a pity party for you. Take your presents and your licks and Merry Christmas.
Yeah, this is the community. This is some members of your community coming together and wanting to just at least put the voice out there and put the message out there. And we have a better sense of community as the creators and as streamers than the fucking company that runs the goddamn thing.
They sold out. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't mean the original guys. Like they did, but they did for different reasons. But like these guys, they have sold out. And that's just all there is to it. And that's fine. Like I said, guys, just take whatever crumbs you can get from the tail ends. Because as a community, we can still shill, but look to higher grounds elsewhere. Because there's nothing going to change here.
The second another competitor like BitChute offers their streaming publicly, so many people are going to go because we're so sick of your shit, YouTube. You are so fucking shady, and literally they're breaking the law. and nobody's going after them.
Now, I was never asking for money from YouTube. In all honesty, like the idea that I would get to the pipe dream of like 100,000 or 200,000 or something like that, that's not even it. It was just to get to the point where like I can enjoy the community. You know, if I could support myself a little bit off of what I make on YouTube, fine. But like that's not what I'm necessarily in it for. Like these streams alone are meant for Canada. And for like the people that come to watch, like I want everyone from around the world to kind of have an understanding of what we're kind of like as Canadians. Like everybody in this chat right now is Canadian, and we've done something pretty amazing in the last 2 months. Like, I mean, I'm not a big YouTuber. Like I've got 55 now, I think 59 actually.
Ooh,
you know, I'm almost up to 60. You know, so like it is growing, and I appreciate all the help I'm getting from everybody, because it's also about the communication. Like I kind of think we're so quiet over here, you know, like nobody really knows what's going on in Canada except for that we're super nice people, you know, and that's kind of a trap. You don't want to trap yourself in that kind of box, because then you become the next Russia.
Well, and then also the fact that Trudeau did blackface too. Apparently, that made international news.
Yes. Well, every time he's been caught in international news, you realize he's dressed
and
up.
It's bad. It's bad.
It's bad.
It's always bad.
He's like dress up man. Like, you know, like this is why we keep going back to the drama teacher. And honestly, he sold us on pot. Like,
yeah.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he does smoke in the White House. We don't even have a White House, but in our parliament, I could totally see him doing it. I bet you.
Well, there was, Vape Dad, who was one of the, I want to say, members of Parliament. His name is escaping me right now, but while he was advocating for the British style of this is a good cessation, harm reduction industry, and he's been fighting for it tooth and nail here in Canada. I have an article about what's going down in the States, but up here, at least we're not as far gone as the United States with their blanket bans. But we haven't gone the way of Britain in saying, yes, this is actually harm reduction. It is a cessation technique for smoke to quit smoking, and it works. And in some ways, we don't necessarily have to subsidize it or whatever, but just not putting those restrictions in place that make things just outright illegal. It's, a knee-jerk reaction. What you should be doing, and I'm speaking to the United States right now, is investing in the base regulation, making sure that stores are compliant and not selling to people under the age of majority, and investing into research into the health cost benefit, right? Like, let's do some government funded research on what the pros and cons are at the end of the day for not only the harm reduction, but for the actual physical toll it takes on your body, because taking in anything does have a certain balance. Like, it's common that, if you drink too much water, you can drown. If you eat too much, you'll get fat and die. Like you'll have all sorts of health problems because you're so grotesquely obese that it's seriously impact. And we're talking way down there. Yeah, if you're fat, maybe you can make some better choices, but we're talking grossly obese. And at that point, it becomes such a detriment to health. We understand these things already. What we don't understand, what we don't have, is the actual proper peer-reviewed research into vaping. So I got onto a little bit of a tangent of vaping.
No worries. It's one of those things that comes up. Like, I mean, I had an argument with my mom about it because I told her that like this year I plan on quitting smoking, and admittedly I have a pack next to me, but for the most part I haven't had one today, so I'm doing pretty well.
I'm so broken. I'm like Monkey. I just don't give a shit anymore. I'm gonna smoke. It'll be the last 10 years of my already fucking failing health.
Well,
I don't care.
For me, it's more to do with how much they cost and how much I'm not enjoying them as much as I used to. Like it's just like,
you're fairly healthy. You're still good. You can still save yourself.
Yeah, and honestly, I would rather spend the money on pot.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was just the end of the day. I was just like, I would, I'm not saying I want to spend money on pot all the time. It's just I'd rather have the extra money to buy better quality pot. I'd rather get something a little bit more decent, and once we start getting more edibles, or like getting some edibles here, because we don't have them yet, I'll probably switch to edibles because they're much easier, and you get more of a body stone, which I like. It's
a lot more long-lasting, complete experience. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also to do with the colds. Like, I mean, I probably am on the verge of having a legit cold because my brother had one, and mine's just been slowly building up, and I've been ignoring it, and I've been going for long walks anyway, regardless of it, because I've been trying to be a little bit more healthy over the last year anyway. So like I'm continuing on with that in the new year. So, there's just little things that I have to deal with. Like, it hasn't been cold enough to really hold me back from long walks. It's just the fear of falling on ice, because everywhere I go, it's the same shit. And I'm not going to complain about it this time because I did last time, but honestly, it snowed again. And I was just like, well, thank God for today I can walk, because at least the snow is, I can crunch on it and it grips and I won't die. But
yeah, we got our snowfall just before Christmas, and it's been clear ever since, so I've been happy.
See, it's not even just that. It's like some of the people who clean their sidewalks, I'm like glaring at them. And it's not because they're cleaning their sidewalks. It's because they do a shit job. They skim the top, but they don't get the bottom stuff. And I'm just like, listen, I appreciate that you're cleaning it, because within at least a day, maybe two, at least your shit will be gone. At least you did something. A lot of people don't even do that much.
And I don't know what your bylaws are there, but here in Toronto, you are responsible, whether or not you're the owner of a building or a house, you are responsible for that little plot of sidewalk in front of your property.
You absolutely are.
It is technically public land, but you are responsible for maintaining it to a certain degree. Obviously, if there's actual physical damage to it, you're not responsible. You just call the city, they take care of it. But as far as snow clearing, yes. And again, as somebody who has mobility issues, I do the same thing. I will fucking glare at them because they don't do it. I've fallen because somebody didn't have the responsibility to do it properly. And you're right, it is scary, because this isn't something that we should be worried about.
Well, it's simple things like that. And I mean, there's the other aspect of it too. Like, the drivers sometimes forget that in wintertime, when you're all set up for the winter and you're driving fine, it's one thing when I'm trying to cross the street. So I am legit at the crosswalk. The light is my turn. I hustle my ass. Like, I do kind of go at like a half walk, half run speed. But at this time of year, like, I can't
jaunt, if you will.
I jaunt, and at this time of year, like, sometimes I have to pause and slow down a little bit. And it's not because I'm slowing down. It's because I can see stuff coming ahead that I don't know what it is. And it's just, would you rather that I fall on my face in the middle of the road and take my time getting up while you're not sure if I've legit hurt myself? Or would you rather I just cross the street, get to the other side, and you can just go? Because I'm already hustling. There's like people who are legit assholes and they just take their time when they don't necessarily need to take that much time crossing the street. I'm not doing that. But there are some people who will legit push you even when you're hustling.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that stress is making me feel less confident, because I'm worried that you're going to do something stupid because you're a retard.
And I can't remember whose stream I was watching. It might have been AAA. It might have been Alex this morning during his morning stream. Somebody had mentioned that, no, we're not asking for society to cater to the lowest of us. But in what little strides we can do to make things a little bit more accessible to people, great. And yeah, I think it was actually Monkey, because he mentioned something that really resonated with me, is he hates taking ramps because it's actually more painful to take a ramp, walk up a ramp, walk down a ramp because of the incline, than to finagle with the stairs and just, be cautious, but,
it's also longer.
Stairs.
It's also longer.
Yeah.
Like, some of those ramps, like, they're just going on and on for ages. And it's just like, dude, that's fun if you're on a skateboard.
Yeah. But to your point, like, yeah, sometimes, when you're comparing a car to a pedestrian, buddy, yeah, I'm talking to you in the car. You're in a confined, safe space, a 1-ton death machine potentially, and that person's on foot. And we're talking about something in like bad weather, cold weather.
Yeah.
Give that person just a little bit of consideration. I don't care if you're already late for work. You know what? You're in a car. You'll be fine.
You know, the other thing too with that light, and honestly, this is to do with the city, and I'm probably gonna have to figure out where to complain about it. But it's just, it's really they have the lights set up, so the lights that are more necessary for that turn are the ones that are turning. You know, and I'm just like, maybe you guys should run those for longer. Like, if these guys are rushing that much, that means that light is short. And I've legit missed it before, where like I'm walking and it's maybe like a minute and a half and it's changed twice. And I'm like, that tells me that maybe the city should make them last a little bit longer.
Yeah,
you know?
In Canada, if there's any kind of problems like that, find out who your local ombudsman is and write them an email. Generally, they respond within a few business days.
Yeah.
Well, they legally have to.
Yeah.
And that is the way that we get stuff done, you know, on just a base level. That would actually be something that could actually affect some change for that light and maybe help people.
And I can legit even go there and time it for him. Like, you know, what time it is, what time it's actually.
Yeah, take a video with your cell phone and include that in the email and be like, look, I'm waiting here for like 5 freaking minutes. And
are you sharing
did we just
something?
reload?
Yeah, it did. I wasn't on the StreamYards. I'm like lost on my stream. I should have.
Oh yeah, I have a couple fun articles to go through that are just like.
No, you're fine. I just have to watch the time because.
Yeah.
No worries.
So our first article, speaking about Canuckistan and JT over there, completely unsustainable. How streaming and other data demands take a toll on the environment.
Don't blow me.
Yes, it does require lots of power to do all this stuff in our modern age. That's kind of a given. We, as the West, are some of the highest, most efficient power producers in the world. We could be more efficient if we started building more modern reactors. I've gone on about this previously. No need to dwell on that. But for those of us binge watching TV shows, installing new smartphone apps, or sharing family photos on social media over the holidays, it may seem like an abstract predicament. The gigabytes of data we're using, although invisible, come at a significant cost to the environment. Some experts say it rivals that of the airline industry. Bullshit. A plane is literally burning fossil fuels and creating, a modicum of on the individual plane pollution that nobody really is going to deny that. And yes, we still do have some coal firing plants, some, oil plants and gas fire plants, these kinds of things. Yes, but we are still making transition. We are making transitions leaps and bounds. Regardless of what Bernie Sanders is going to tell you or fucking Donkey Teeth is going to tell you, we are making strides. Our emissions overall have dropped drastically. Mostly to do with the fact that our manufacturing industries have gone overseas, but also because of the fact that we are making these strides in making our energy production more efficient. Whether or not it's a coal plant or hydroelectric, it's more and more efficient as our time goes on. I'd really like to know who these quote unquote experts say. What kind of peer-reviewed research they've done to say that it rivals that of the airline industry. Otherwise, just fuck right off.
I had to laugh about that. I'm not laughing at your article. It's just like earlier when I was on Twitter just a little bit to see if there was anything like article-wise that I could review, and it was just like Twitter was flipping out in Australia because the fires in Australia are terrible. And don't get me wrong, the idea of like koalas burning to death is not something I like to think about. But it's one of those things where like aren't they in like a dry season? Don't koalas live in eucalyptus trees? And eucalyptus trees are like matches when they're dry. It's still not climate change. And also, there's been a couple of stories lately that I've found. I don't know if they're true or not. I'm not saying they're true, but I'm saying that there are retards who throw matches or smoke butts or, hey, even light a fire on purpose. You know, there are arsonists out there. Just saying, there are bad people.
Yeah, the exception, not the rule.
You know, but like there's been a couple stories of some of these SJW like climate change ones saying you might as well just light a match, we're all going to burn to death anyway, you know, that kind of lingo. There are just enough retarded kids out there who would do something like that. I'm just saying, it just takes one asshole.
Look at how easy it is to get certain demographics to start shooting up another demographic or stabbing them in their houses of worship, just because of a little bit of rhetoric from the Reverend Al Sharpton calling them cockroaches or what have you, or the Nation of Islam, Black Hebrew Israelites saying that these people are less than, you know, and none of these people who will call, you know, your for lack of a better reference, you know, your Steven Crowders or whatever, you know, alt-right Nazis or whatever. You know, again, these are the people who are actually acting as close to as we have found in modern times, like Nazis. Listen to the rhetoric. It is almost word for word the exact same rhetoric that appeared in pre-Nazi Germany when the National Socialists took power.
You know, that used to be a joke years back, where for some of the liberals that were starting to go really extreme, you would play back Hitler's speeches to them in English. Don't tell them that it's from Hitler. You just play back what it is that he's saying in his speech, and they will agree with what he's saying.
Yeah.
They will agree with what he's saying because, like, it's the same. That's how they catch you. You know, they promise you shit.
So one of the people, this compo-looking cunt right here, Jane Kearns, Vice President of Growth Services at Toronto's Mars Discovery District. The massive energy consumption of the world's data centers has real implications for our climate. Again, other than the fact that you are probably going to directly profit off of this whole hysteria of climate change and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
What evidence do you have, bitch? Because as the article goes on, it's not the gadgets themselves that are drawing so much power. That's right. You know, it is the far-flung servers that act as their electronic brains. You know, we colloquially call them the clouds, but these are server farms. Mostly are done in cold climates. So we have a few in Northwest Territories and Yukon, I believe, and also in Alaska. And yes, they are huge, massive server farms that, you know, help the distributing of information worldwide. And yes, they do suck up a lot of power. But at the end of the day, the trade-off we're making for the access of information and the instant availability to be able to
they want you to be ignorant, don't they? I mean, you know, it's really weird, such a turnaround, because years ago they wanted everyone to have cell phones because, you know, it's easier to send what they want to you with cell phones, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And they want to limit the power, right?
Just to finish the paragraph, the data centers, often bigger than a football field, house endless stacks of servers handling many terabytes of digital traffic. Just as laptops tend to warm during heavy usage, servers must be cooled to avoid overheating, and cooling so many machines requires plenty of power. No, you are wrong. You know, there's a reason why these server farms are in fucking northern Russia and northern Canada and northern United States is because it's fucking freezing, so that the amount of power you need to actually cool some of the biggest server farms in the world is really negligible compared to the ones that are in like mainland China. Once again,
hey, she myths. Sorry, I had to.
No. I mean, you know, like, just, you know, like China, India. These again are the people who are, you know, their power consumption for their server farms are exponentially greater than the ones we have in the Western world. I would say maybe Britain is a little bit more complicit in spending more power, but I mean, they're an island. They're not really cold. You know, they don't really have access.
This is a similar conversation I had with a friend who was all about the hemp. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against the hemp. I'm actually on the board of like using some hemp to replace some things, as a way to like convert to other means other than just using one type of oil. It's a different type of oil. And it's a biodegradable plastic. It works really well. I have no problems with hemp, but this guy had this belief that we were going to run the world off of hemp oil. And I was like, where are we going to grow these farms? How are we going to grow these farms? And he was anywhere. Like, well, you know, he's like, anywhere. And I was like, well, okay, well, how do you do that in Canada? Right. And he's like, well, you'll just build greenhouses everywhere. So you're building greenhouses everywhere up in the coldest place on the planet. Is that not going to warm things up a little bit?
It might. Yeah. So some dickhead in Iceland, published in the International Journal of Green Technology, suggests data centers could be more than double their power demands over the next decade. He projects that computing will gobble up a whopping 11%, everybody, of global energy by 2030, and cloud-based services will represent a sizable proportion of that. Again, for the benefits that it has made across the globe for humanity. The internet alone, this free exchange of information and data, 11% is nothing. And that's a projection. We're only at about 3 or 4% right now of our total energy consumption for something that has been so groundbreaking for humanity as a whole. I think, you know, this will be completely unsustainable by 2040. It's just like, fuck off. Fuck off. I understand you might be a little bit concerned. Hey, we're using a little bit more power for this. Okay. So you don't have like these fucking climate alarmists, these fucking zealots of the newest doomsday cult can fuck right off.
Yeah, seriously. Like, you guys are just like, there's certain levels of overhype. Like I said, like I mean, maybe I was being hyperbole too with my whole, like, you know, greenhouses everywhere heating up the planet. But like, I honestly, I don't see that as being a viable option. I'm just saying it just seems ridiculous. But at the same time, though, like the way they're taking it, that seems really ridiculous too. You know, I'm saying I'm not a climate scientist, but I'm saying they're not one either. But I do support changing our plastics to hemp. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked into the research of that, and it actually is a really good, viable alternative. The hemp industry, you know, up until prohibition on hemp, we used it for like almost all ships, all sailing ships, ropes. It's a very heavy duty fiber that was, you can grow it in almost any climate.
You know, they were complaining about this straw thing, and I'm just like, well, I'm sure someone already has a hemp straw. If it hasn't been made yet, it's being made. You know, the oils, like you were saying, is just so versatile, and it's biodegradable. In 4 years, that straw is going to melt away into nothingness and become carbon and go back into the soil. You know, like it's where the alarmists are not looking at the proper viable alternatives, because, you know, it's a common, I hate to say it, it's a common, you know, right-leaning talking point or anti-climate alarmist talking point that, you know, these wind farms, these solar farms, they don't have zero emissions. How do you think these motherfuckers are built and maintained? It's one of those things where like all these people just think that they're a magical mix, and it's like,
yeah,
no,
some fucking fairy just comes, you know, waves her magic wand, and all these fucking windmills pop up, and they're 100% green. No, you know, in some cases, they're just as impactful on the environment in their alarmist rhetoric
It's one of those things. If I were to play their game, I would go to their protests with like, well, this is the shit that your stuff does to the environment. So I would show you what the emissions are. I would show you the garbage. I would show the damage to the birds. I would show the pollution that it wastes. I would show how absolutely useless they are in Alberta, because we have this lovely climate thing. I think you guys have it. It's called hail. Have you ever seen what a hailstorm does?
Yeah, we had
Ever
one.
been hit by one the size of a
God.
golf ball?
I was just about to say.
They hurt.
It was
They
about
hurt.
what?
That is a Charlie horse to the max.
Early 2000s. I wanna
Yeah,
say
exactly.
2002, 2003. We had a really bad one here in Southern Ontario. They were literally the size of golf balls. After the storm hit, I came out, looked at my car, and it was just, like a Chevy Cavalier. It wasn't, a very, solid car to begin with. But the fact remains that the entire thing looked like a fucking block of cheese now because of all the dents in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
our
serious.
hail is no joke. Like it's almost like these people who are bringing their inventions haven't lived here. I'm just like, listen, if you're going to bring an invention here, you need to live somewhere in Canada for at least 10 years and pay attention to the climate across the country. At least basic.
And since we're talking about hypersensitive fucking retards, Detroit Fire Incidents page posted a Facebook photo on a photo on their Facebook of the crew in front of
okay, we got 20 minutes.
an ongoing fire. Okay, so the neighborhood is already evacuated at the time. I'm not going to read everything verbatim, but I'll give you the gist of it. So there was no danger. It was at a point in which the firefighters, things were. Yes, there's still a fire going on in the upper part of this house, but things are contained. It's called what's called a breathing point. A lull, and a making sure that everything is contained. So because one of their longstanding members was celebrating retirement, they decided to take a crew selfie in mid-job. And there was, plenty of online backlash. And even from the Detroit Fire Commissioner, who called the photo inappropriate and unprofessional. It's like, fuck off. You people really, is this I understand the need that the fire commissioner might want to investigate this, but if the chief on site is saying, no, everything's kosher with this, then he should be able to take that at face value from his own from his own fire chief on site and saying, no, everything was done above board. We just decided to take a fucking picture and be done with it. Instead, you get these hyper reactionary fucking retards. Oh, I'm so over this. And in the spirit of the last article we talked about on the other stream about the guys who were having a bit of fun. I'm saying hi to you, but I'm going to absolutely butcher your name because I do it every single time, and then afterwards I'm challenging functional to it. But hi, Cthulhu. Cthulhu, yeah.
All right. I've been told I butchered that.
I guess you could say that whole selfie was pretty lit.
How dare
you! Come on, somebody had to say it. I might as well be the one. Yeah, that picture is really lit. Look at that.
So next two are related, and a couple quickies. Transgender activists, straight men should work through non-attraction to transgender women. No. Fuck you. Fuck your position. Fuck your fucking authoritarian nature. You know what? I'm generally a live and let live person, but I would actually tap dance, piss, and then light your grave on fire if you were to die tomorrow, you disgusting piece of shit. Stop telling people what they have to fucking do.
Shut up!
They just really can't understand how rapey they are when they do that too. It's just, why don't you guys just come to terms with the fact that you're gay?
Or come to terms with the fact that that's your life. That's not everybody else's life. You don't
Exactly
have
that
to,
too.
You don't have to imprint every aspect of your life into the world. And like we were just saying about disability, in that it is such a small component.
Hi, Cynic.
Hey, Cynic, I hope you're feeling well, bud. He had a little bit of a incident, and I hope you're doing better. I know that they haven't exactly given you any concrete answers yet, but I hope you're at least doing a bit better.
I just wish that they would at least think about what it is that they're saying and realize just how rapey
Well, they
that
don't.
is.
They don't. They have no fucking clue. Their head is shoved so far up their own ass.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an ass inception that it goes so far and comes out their neck that it looks like they're normal, that it looks like they have a head, when in fact they're just like this MC Escher of a human being, and their head is so far up their ass it comes right back out their neck. And
I think I've seen a hentai like that once.
What I really want to know, Marvel, is if the
percent of the
transgender character uses transgender like special superpowers. Like if those transgender superpowers.
Yeah, their superpower is to touch a straight man and turn them into openly accepting a transgender person to have sex with. It's your first Marvel superhero that their power is basically rape. Forced rape.
I want big boobs.
But my point is that, you know, we can try to accommodate people in the grand scheme of things, but no, society is not going to bend over backwards for the drastic minority. And in relation to that, Marvel set to debut first openly transgender character. Says the movie is being shot right now, guys. I bet you're all excited because nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit what Spider-Man or Cyclops or Wolverine or Magneto's fucking sexual identity is. Nobody gives a shit. And the people who will advocate for this type of shit, they're not your market. In fact, this is I'm going to call it right now. This is going to do more to harm your product than it is to perpetuate your inclusivity. Look at what happened with Miss Marvel. I'm not going to call her Captain Marvel because she is Miss Marvel. People, the forced slapping over you in the face with "I'm a women's, I'm powerful" kind of narrative failed hard. What do you think that's going to do when it's not 50% of the population? It's now 1% of the population that's trying to put push this message that they are special and blah blah blah. No, just fuck right off. I don't know what the movie's going to entail. Nobody really does. They're just like, hey guys, transgender character, look at us, we're big news now. No, just fuck off. Just fuck off.
I think I've got 13 minutes.
Yeah, well, we can keep going until the timer runs itself dry if you want, or we can end hard in 12 minutes. Hell, we can shift over to my channel. I don't give a shit.
Oh, we can always do that afterwards if you want to do that. It's up to you. It's just one of those things. Like, yeah, you know, we might do that, guys.
I mean, I didn't bring. None of us brought up many articles. I was out grocery shopping. We decided to start an hour earlier, and like Jen said, she's kind of limited on her StreamYards time for the month, even though the month shifted over. So
I know, right? Like, I'm just like
the Discord.
I'm like,
yeah, we can always
articles
check
there.
Yeah, honestly, it was just like I said. I was just like shilling for Bloodewing, and we did a pretty good job of shilling. But I kind of wanted to go a little bit longer. But like, you know what? We're okay. We still got a little bit of time, so we can do one more article, and then
fucking article after article. If you want to bring them up too, like if you want to put them on deck and share the screen. Excuse me, 1 second. A little bit of a throat tickle. Saw this article, and in my tradition of liking to talk about entertainment, it is a older article from last year, April 3rd, but it's something that always surprises me and always gives me a fun feeling in the cockles of my hearts when I read stuff like this. Classic movie lines that were never meant for the final cut. What they mean by that is they were not scripted. These are, you know, the best of the best actors and actresses that we have out in the field that add a little bit of their expertise into delivering lines and setting up the scene and making it, you know, just the best they can. And one of the first ones they talk about is in The Fugitive with Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones. There's the tense moment where they're meeting in the sewers, the storm drain, and Tommy Lee Jones kind of butchered his line and responded, "This isn't my problem," instead of "I don't care." And it was really, that line just really hit it harder than just the "I don't care." You know, the "isn't my problem" kind of gives you a little bit more of a different connotation. It's a bit of a clickbaity article. There was another scene in Midnight Cowboy, you know, when Dustin Hoffman's walking across with John Voight, he almost gets hit by a taxi who, you know, was an actual taxi driver who wasn't paying attention to the signs during the shoot. He hits the taxi. He's like, "Hey, I'm walking here." You know, very iconic scene in filmmaking. Ghost. You know, say what you will about modern day Whoopi Goldberg back in the day in you know, her Ghost and Star Trek days. She was a really well put together, well thought out actress.
She was a great actress.
Yeah, she was really.
I think being a single lady for some reason, and in the U.S. or like in the Western culture, for some reason, if you're single for too long, you go cuckoo.
Especially when you're in that sort of. Anyway, you know, there was just if many people remember the movie Ghost, it's sort of more of a niche movie. She goes off script and goes, "Molly, you in trouble, girl," and it's just a cute line because it. I hate to say this, but you know, it gives a bit of her culture because yes, blackness, there is a certain culture in the United States that just kind of gives it a more earthy, down to earth feeling from the character that she was playing, because she was, you know, that strong black woman character, even though again, in today's modern cinemas, you might get slapped in the face with that, my mind just went blank. I was going to say like Riley Reid in one of her Pornhub videos, you know, with the cock, just slapping her in the face a few times.
Oh boy.
My point is, it's not slapping you in the face very aggressively. It's subtle things. You know, again, if I reference Star Trek, how they handle the issues du jour, you know, social issues.
Yeah, I have this image of like The Shining, but with, instead of an axe coming through, it's a penis, and it's all because of this image.
Here's Mandingo. And of course, one of the I got her to snort.
Yeah, oh, this is me. Oh my god. Sorry. I'm getting that visual image in my head now. It's just like somebody make that into a meme, quick.
Come on, man.
Of course, one of the most iconic in modern cinema is in A Few Good Men, when Jack Nicholson was like, "You can't handle the truth," completely off the cuff. And you know, it's been a meme. It's had its staying power. People still reference it today, even though the movie was like in the mid-90s. And it's such an iconic moment, not only in the movie, but for him as an actor. Ever since that moment, people are like, they quote that all the time. Another sort of niche movie is When Harry Met Sally. When Harry, Billy Crystal, responds to a question Sally proposes, "I would be proud to partake of your pecan pie." Just genius, just pure, just the innuendo, the tension. It just slices right through that sexual tension between the characters like a hot knife through fucking butter. It was not a favorite movie of mine, but I appreciated how well put together of a love story it was. Fucking cracked up not only me, but on set Meg Ryan and Rob Reiner both were cracking up on set. There's a B-roll footage of them cracking up.
I got my daily Duck Dog thumbs down. Hey, Duck Dog.
Duck Dog.
Welcome to the stream. Sorry, it's short though, because I'm unfortunately being hindered by streamyards a little bit, but you got 7 minutes, 6 minutes, maybe.
More recently, Dark Knight, Heath Ledger, when he's watching Commissioner Gordon getting promoted, Ledger begins his slow, sarcastic laugh. I'm not going to get too much into it. Didn't like that movie. Don't like Heath Ledger. Deliverance. Oh, man, that movie was just rife with a lot of ad-libbing off the cuff. When you get such a star-studded ensemble cast, even though they weren't the ones who directly did this ad-libbing that they're going to reference here, the squeal like a pig. That was one of the supporting actors, but when you're surrounded by, and take it from someone who's actually been in films surrounded by these kinds of people, it rubs off. Like I was on set with Brian Cox and Michelle Monaghan and someone else, Sean Bean. Their energy, their power inspired me, even though I was a no dialogue sort of military actor in the movie. I was inspired to be the best, and sort of just give all I could, because I know and appreciate these actors and what they do.
Yeah, they usually like that kind of attitude too. It's my understanding.
Yeah, and again, another more modern movie. I'll just close it off with this one. In Good Will Hunting, I know it was, critically acclaimed.
F and chat for Robin. I know it's been a couple of years, but F and chat.
Yeah, fucking, again, one of my favorites of all time. Not only comedian, but sort of a typecast actor a bit. One of the last movies I saw, The Last Angry Man in Brooklyn.
At least I'll do it.
gorgeous piece of cinema. Really hard to watch if you deal with things like depression, anger, if you feel lost in the modern world, because it seems like, again, technology is sort of just running away with us, and people are kind of caught up in the current. Fucking gorgeous piece of cinema. Of course, he improvised the line when he's reading a letter that Damon's character wrote to him. It says, in the letter, I had to go see about a girl. He improvised with a retort, "Son of a bitch, he stole my line." Robin Williams, fucking legend. Love that guy.
Yeah, I love that guy too. I miss him internally. It's one of those things where I appreciate why things happen the way it is, but when even the gorilla was mourning for the guy, he was somebody special.
Mm-hmm. And to learn after the fact of the shit that he was dealing with for the last 3 decades, it gives me a newfound respect. Even though I had the penultimate respect for the man, for his craft and who he was as just a good human being in that industry, to learn what he was dealing with was just like, wow, the sheer cojones, the fortitude of this man to pull himself together every morning and do what he does. Just fucking.
Yeah. F to the guy. Yeah, absolutely.
Incredible.
Yeah, exactly. Really feel for the guy too.
Aw. I think we're about to be booted soon, guys. I'm pretty sure I'm getting the tingles in my bones that says I've got 2 minutes on my stream. But
Jackie boy.
Yeah.
Well,
I think Elwin might be ahead of me by 2 minutes, but that's okay because I might have
between streaming. Yeah. So let's just keep talking, and when we get booted, we'll get booted. If it does go a little bit over, and we realize, hey, it hasn't really kicked us out, then we can,
keep going.
We'll go back to a little bit more structure of, okay, well, now we're gonna.
Hi, Jack. I mean, worst case scenario, if you want, we could take a little break and maybe decide to go do something on yours if you want. Sure. It's up to you.
I got time. Did anybody get a chance? On the panel or in chat, to see the quote unquote debate, wasn't really a debate, between Sinatra and Ask Yourself last night?
No, but I have it queued up for later because it sounds like it was a real clusterfuck of a mess.
It was hard to watch. I kept saying to Elowen, it's like a car wreck. Like it was so hard to listen to and watch, but I couldn't look away. The guy was literally spurging out and going, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Sinatra, Sinatra, Sinatra. Like just completely fucking spurging out. And it was so bad because I knew what Sinatra was doing from the get-go. He may not have Ask Yourself was claiming that he was not acting in good faith when entirely all Ask Yourself was doing was projecting the entire time and did not come to the it wasn't even supposed to debate. It was just supposed to be an on-air discussion about his what Sinatra thought about veganism. And it was incredible because, if Sinatra, instead of, being a little bit antagonistic, which he was because he wasn't taking this guy serious, because he was not entirely seriously, because he wasn't acting in good. Ask Yourself wasn't acting as a good faith actor.
Like Tourette's on crack.
He was intentionally trying to, poke fun at him every now and then. But I knew that if he was, his answers were completely cogent. Like Ask Yourself would ask him a question and he would answer it. And he wouldn't accept the answer. It's just like,
So it'll either boot us or it won't. Yeah, it's been 61 minutes. So I don't know what it's doing. I don't want it to charge me though.
It shouldn't charge you. If it does, I'll send you a couple shekels. It should say, hey, your time's up. You need to sub or get the fuck off. Luckily, guys, Saturday it'll be on my channel.
Maybe the fact that I was like pointing out in both my disclaimer and also my beginning thoughts that I was of the opinion that it was January the 2nd and therefore my time should restart. And I don't know when their calendar starts. So
it was like the guy was just like on Tourette's and crack and speed all at the same time while trying to talk to Sinatra. It just, it was so, I felt so dirty afterwards. I felt so bad. I kind of felt bad for Sinatra because like,
he's a pretty nice dude. I mean, he's a pretty
nice
common.
Dude. He's willing to talk to somebody who might have an issue about something, but then just to be completely derailed and just treated with such disrespect from somebody who probably could have gotten a few subs out of it if he came at it with a
good attitude,
in good faith, and a good attitude. Yeah, and instead of machine gunning the questions into his face and hoping that he gets a gotcha.
And Sinatra's one of those few guys with a lot of subs right now who's not snobby. Like he's been on Jack Gunsky's gaming stream like at least twice, maybe 3 times.
Oh, has he? Okay.
I think so. I mean, he's been on, and he was friendly the entire time. He was
the first I've ever heard of him. But again, I'm not on Twitter, so I'm not that connected with everyone. Again, going back to the whole YouTube bullshit, like just looking at my suggested fit page right now, I get like Ted, Fox News, Greg, whatever the fuck his name is, the night show host from the UK, and all his fucking guests. And that's half of the shit. Like half of my suggested shit is shit I don't care about. Okay. I haven't seen even once.
Yeah, so it was just the one time. But like, I mean, Jack has what? Like he's a small channel. I mean, he's a nice guy. Like, I mean, yeah, he appreciates it when you sub him back, and like I don't have money. Like I've said before, I don't have money, but like I send him the odd, the ice creams or the lemons when I've got them.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, Jack, it's on Sanut's channel. It's a live stream he did last night, so it's fairly recent.
See, with Sinatra,
I mean, watch the first 5 minutes, and then if it's too hard to watch, don't worry, it doesn't get any better.
I think with Sinatra, it's because he's poor. He understands that as a fellow poor person, like you do the best that you can to say thank you for like the work, and you do the best that you can. And he understands that just as well as Satsu does. Like he is asking for money all the time. Like, yeah, he's working his game, and good for him for it. Good for him for it. But like he is a nice guy like that. So I do appreciate what he does for the community. So like I'm sure that he's gonna share Bloodewing stuff as well, like share links when he does his streams, because like he's I don't think he's ever guested on Sinatra on Bloodewings, but I'm sure he would. Absolutely he would. You know, because he's
Sinatra?
done streams. Oh yeah, because he's done streams with Bloodewing in the chat before, and they've talked before, and you know.
I know I've seen him on the same stream. I don't remember whose, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same community, even though
Yeah.
people might not have the same general community of YouTubers. That even though there might not be direct collabs or whatever, there's still that respect, and I think that's what sparked. And I think that's what sparked. You know, even Sinatra saying, "Hey, you know, if you want to talk, let's talk on stream. You know, I'll give you an hour or two of my time because he's a busy guy. He works really hard at YouTube and you know, with family and all that other shit that comes with it. He works really hard, so he doesn't have that much time to do. But to take some time to, in good faith, say, okay, you want to talk, let's talk."
Sorry, I'm sending out a link to Jack just because he was like, "Hey, you want to send me a link?" And I was like, "I don't know when I'll get booted, but let's see how cheeky I can be."
Yeah, if we do get booted, we'll probably take 5, and then I don't know, we might stream for a couple hours on mine or whatever. I don't know what else we all have to talk about, but
Thanks for sharing the link, Ellen. Just in case, guys. Like, who knows? Who knows? I might get away with it, and we'll find out. We will find out. Yeah. So, but yeah, I keep bringing up Bloodewing because I should be sharing his StreamYards, and I'm not StreamYards, Streamlabs, and I'm not because I'm lazy and I haven't. Let's do this.
Noof, have you been
Oh
playing?
goodness, it shows the whole thing. Why do you do this to me, YouTube? You stupid piece of shit. All right, well, it's in my disclaimer, so.
Jack is behind. He's backstage.
Is he backstage? Well, then I better let him on. Okay.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, how you doing?
Not bad at all. Holy crap, that debate was insane. Not even like in the exciting way, more like in the harrowing way that makes you feel kind of sad.
Yeah. I mean, it's at points he even had to mute the guy just to answer a question and to air his grievance of how the conversation is going. Like, it was so painful.
That didn't show up the way I wanted it to. I don't know what the fuck that is.
It was pretty disgraceful. It was
absolutely disgraceful. This thing is a piece of shit.
and the thing is that Ask Yourself used every single debate tactic that I've seen vegans use before.
And fallacy too. Yeah. Even though he's calling Sinatra, "Oh, you're a logic fallacy. You're contradicting yourself on this." Well, you know what? Everything in the world is a shade of gray. There's you know, some things you might look at completely objectively, subjectively. Other things you might look at completely objectively. Some things you might take a combination of the two to look at. Like, hot button topic, abortion. I don't look at everything purely objectively or subjectively. I take all the information, subjective and objective, and
that's my phone. Sorry.
It's all good. And come to some sort of self realized stance on it.
I heard it was the debate, so-called, was compared to like Destiny's method of gish galloping, but the thing is that this was much stupider than Destiny's method, because usually when Destiny gish gallops, he doesn't repeat himself. He doesn't just yell out the same thing over and over again.
Literally go to his mic and start yelling. I'm not going to yell into my mic, but I'm getting close to make a point. Like, literally would get right into the mic and yell at Sinatra.
Yeah. Destiny, to his credit, usually when he makes an argument, it's not well thought out. It's not very good, but at the very least, it is a different point than the last thing he said. This guy is just
not completely spurging out and literally yelling at somebody.
Quiet.
Well, she was just playing a little bit of psychology with them too. You know, there's this little part of me that thinks that a part of the reason why the vegans are so vicious is because there's a part of them that kind of does miss.
Oh yeah, Amy, Mr. Misanthropic. I'm a huge fan of hers.
Yeah.
We've talked quite a few times. Her stream of consciousness, coffee streams can kind of get a little wishy-washy, sort of hippy-dippy. But I always respect that she like me will take that information from various sources and then form her own opinion on something, and it's fluid. Her opinions are fluid. If there's new information, it will come in and she will accept it and absorb it, and it may or may not influence her stance, but she's always open to the information. And just to take Vegan Gains, another spurgy asshole vegan, to task by having that delicious steak while on stream, just gorgeous.
Wait,
I'd
who
love
did that?
the opportunity, Amy.
I suspect part of it is it's like psychologically they might not understand it. Like, I mean, they might be in this denial of the facts, but like when they see somebody else eating meat, when they smell meat, that kind of stuff that triggers them, that gets them so mad. And I'm just like, do you realize that the reason that you're mad is because your body smells that food. It smells food.
I don't
and you're
know.
hungry. You are hungry. If you are angry, it is because you are hungry.
Well,
Now, I understand that you don't want to eat it. I understand that you don't want the temptation. But like everything they try to make, you know, like it's half the shit they make is like fake meat, fake cheese, fake cream.
A little piece of me feels some level of sympathy because these people genuinely think that genocide is happening. Don't get me wrong. They're totally crazy. They're totally batshit about it. And the genocide they think is happening is stupid. But they do think that a genocide is happening. And according to their worldview's consistency, it is. Because as long as people are eating animals, that's genocide. So if they approach the subject really angrily, I kind of understand a little bit why, but I just think that they're idiots.
Yeah, like from the get-go, his first words of referring to it as a Holocaust, holocausting animals and all this shit, I was just like, okay, you're not going to be here at all in good faith. This is why I love the chance to sit down with a vegan activist and whatever, and you know, if they're willing to come to the discussion in good faith, it doesn't have to be a debate, but just a discussion of the ideas and the ideals and some of the underhanded tactics that some of these vegans, like Vegan Gains and like Ask Yourself, use, and talk to them. I would love to, because I could easily destroy any and all of their arguments.
I just got a question.
Yes.
I just got a simple question for most vegans. Why the hell are they so obsessed with making non-meat food taste like meat? Like seriously, like I'm very concerned about this.
I understand that question, but I have a better question that I was thinking of yesterday. Why is it that the vegan primary debate tactic always jumps to eating retarded people?
Because they are... Because they don't care about, you know, human harm. They care about the aminals. And to answer your question, Noof, wait, what was the question?
Basically, why is it that they're trying so hard to make everything taste like meat when
make everything taste like meat is so that they can convert everybody to their way of living? Because just like we were talking with the tranny earlier, who said that straight men have to start finding trans women.
I also think it's mentally for them too. Like, I think there's a small part of them who, you know, it's like there was this thing where, and this is back in the Freely and Durian Wright or whatever the fuck nut name that guy has, whatever. They had that Thai fruit thing. And they had this controversy come up, and I can't remember where I heard this stuff from, but like there was several people covering it, and basically they were caught eating rice. Well, the thing is the Thai fruit festival, you're not supposed to eat anything that's cooked, which means that even though rice is vegan, like you can eat rice, it's vegan. It's technically a grain, but it's vegan. You're not supposed to cook it. You're not supposed to eat cooked anything. So they were given shit for eating cooked food, and it was just like, so here's the thing, like you guys limit yourselves to the point where it's just retarded. You are constantly thinking about food. You are constantly in a state where you need to eat food, and I think that's why they do it. I think that they're constantly thinking about meat. They're constantly thinking about food, and that makes them angry. It makes you very angry. The thing is I understand that you don't need to eat as much meat as we do, and I don't have a problem with like educating people like that. Like, we definitely don't eat. We eat way too much food. Like, let's just be real, guys. Most of us were probably peasants, and peasants had like soup, if you were lucky.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the great innovations was farming practices, animal husbandry,
having proper food all the time.
Because yes, even then in the inception of it, it was a little bit harder for most people to still get food, access to variety of food. One sec.
Meat in that aspect, became really important because people realized how much energy you were getting from it. Like, that's really why it became so
and how much energy we were just simply spending, not only mental energy, but physical energy just to get daily sustenance.
So like no
majority of our time, the clear majority, like 85-90% of our time was worrying about and acting physically to provide food for yourself, your family, and your community. And now with modern day society, we have such an abundance of access to this stuff that people lack that sort of self-control in some cases. And
here's the irony. How many of those vegans are actually on board with that eating the bug shit?
Oh, that was gorgeous when he kept saying, when Sinatra kept trying to ask him, are you going to eat the bugs? Are you going to eat the bugs? I thought that was hilarious.
Because like there's a certain part of you where you're just like, you do realize that that's still a life form, right? Bugs actually do important things for the planet. Like, not all of them. Some of them are kind of, but like even a mosquito, like everyone's like, what is the purpose of a mosquito? And I'm just like, they feed a lot of species.
Bats.
Yes. Yeah. Bugs, reptiles, fish, lots of fish.
Wait. So I missed most of the debate. Was ask yourself in favor of eating the bugs?
No, he eventually answered the question and said no, he would not eat the bug.
Eventually,
it was already well past that breaking point for Sinatra, where he was like, okay, this guy's just a complete dick and not acting in any sort of good faith. So I'm going to pose stupid questions and poke fun at him, which was great because that's what you do to these people.
Here's the problem with vegans, from my understanding, is that the first problem is that they can't have a conversation about anything other than veganism if you are not a vegan. You could get him in there on the pretext of, like, I don't know, talking about recent movies, and it would devolve into an argument about veganism. The second thing is that they cannot understand a hypothetical in which they are not the object of that hypothetical. For example, if I was to ask a question like, oh, well, what if you found out that plants had thoughts or something like that? Would you not be allowed to eat plants? And they would totally reject that question and try and do another question where it's like, would you eat retarded people? They would just completely ignore all questions that didn't serve their own purposes. Mm-hmm, and so the way you have to approach it is with their rules. And this is my idea. I've never used this because I've never really debated a vegan before. Mm-hmm. But my idea for the perfect hypothetical would be to say, if I was a vegan, I would not want to tell anybody I was a vegan because I wouldn't want to be associated with all you militant assholes.
Yep.
That I think would be, from my estimation, the best possible method for conveying to these people why it is we hate them so much, because it is phrased entirely within their worldview where everything is perfect and I'm a good little vegan just like everybody else.
Well, it's a good play. I would, it's actually something that's been brought up to them several times. It's been brought up to them multiple times, and
Yes.
some of them are mellowing out a lot. Like, I mean, there's some who have, but
well, the main reason I bring that up is I originally thought of that point when it was Vegan Gains and Roaming Millennial. Do you remember that debate?
I didn't watch it, but I remember it. Yeah, I remember people
Yeah.
talking about it. So,
And because two things happened. The first thing, she basically said vegans are jerks, and that was the thrust of her argument. So she gets Vegan Gains on, and he immediately changes it into, why aren't you a vegan? So that's point number one. And then he completely ignores the question that she was trying to ask in the first place and opted for, would you eat retarded people? So you just have to.
I would respond with, why are you retarded? Are you asking me to eat you? Because that seems a little bit inappropriate for a YouTube channel stream, don't you think? But I'm kind of quick.
No, you
Worst
can't.
pickup line of life.
No, you can't say that, because they'd immediately, well, this conversation has devolved. I thought that we were here to be civil. But now you're trying to now you're trying to misplay. Now you're let me finish. Now you're trying to misinterpret my words. Now,
I am interpreting your words.
And Jack,
Mom, Dad, stop fighting. I'm scared.
So,
I'm gonna hide in the closet now.
do you see what I was doing there, though?
yeah,
I'm not going to
Yeah,
eat Jack.
no, 100%.
Jack. I just posted in the YouTube chat. That's Amy K. She does the Waking Up Thoughtcast. The one I couldn't find the direct link to the video, but that's her channel. She's a knucklehead from BC. She does a really cool kind of show every now and then. I appreciate her work.
Maybe
but if you dig through there, you can probably find the Vegan Gains debate. It was good. It was delicious. She took him to task.
Maybe it's the boomer in me, but I remember this one comedian who was joking about an ex-girlfriend who was so vegan that she did believe that the plants had to be dead before she could eat them. She did believe they had to be dead. I mean,
well, see, the thing is,
natural causes.
with what's that shit called? That field of science. A little help? Anybody?
I don't know.
Biology. With biology and certain well, it was funny because Sinatra basically touched on it. I'm sure he's not, again, he didn't approach this as a debate. He didn't prepare anything. It was supposed to be a conversation. But he brought up a good point with the plants thing, because one of the things that he brought up was the fact that plants do react to their environment. They do have a thought process, not in the same way that animals do. But there's, he obviously didn't go this deep into it. But we've even been able to register that they make high-pitched whines when they're being cut. When they don't get enough sunlight, they will actively move to try to find sunlight. Hell, we even have lots of plants that do physically move. We can watch kudzu move across the ground. Certain types of ivy. So to say that plants don't have any sort of awareness or self preservation or thought is asinine and is demonstrably wrong. Now, is it on the same level as animals? No. Is then that same amount of thought that the animals have the same that we as humans have? No, clearly not. Yes, we do see certain animals, primates, dolphins, for example, we do see them as having a higher level of intelligence, not to the same level as the majority. Well, I don't want to say majority, but humans are capable of, but higher than most animals, so that we treat them differently.
Yeah, it seems as though in general, it seems as though in general, a lot of the things that we afford to humans, we afford to some animals too, depending on what type of intelligence they show. I mean, sure, a dolphin is supposedly very intelligent, but what the fuck do we know? We're just here on Earth. We just see like, oh, well, it can choose a different ring. And generally we feel bad about killing them because we kind of associate it with, Flipper. But
well, I mean, like they are very unique as well with their higher thinking processes and more advanced brains, in that they, unlike the majority of the animal kingdom, have a spoken language. And we've been able to determine that through, modern biology and studying these animals. And that is one of the big reasons why, like a differentiating factor between the higher races, human race, dolphins, to some extent dogs, that they have those higher processes, that we seem to treat them differently on a higher level. Whereas, yes, cows still feel, pigs still feel, but it's more of a reactionary nature than a higher thought process. They don't have they might make sounds and be able to communicate. And yes, we can include dogs and cats into this as well with sound, but it's not a language. It's more of they're reacting to certain pitches, tones.
And to the people who keep making cows into pets, don't get me wrong, there's no such thing as an animal who isn't well kept, who isn't well loved, raised, that doesn't show some appreciation to humans. But this idea that cows are just naturally going to be like sweet-natured pets, like I remember seeing videos of like this girl inviting a cow into the house and the cow's all sweet and stuff. I'm like, you know what, that was a nice cow, but we don't breed that into cows. We don't breed sweetness into cows. We breed fat into cows, lack of fat into cows, and health into cows, and bigness into cows, and that's what we breed into cows. We don't breed.
Through selective breeding, we've turned what is now an extinct species, the auroch, into the modern day cow, for very good reason, because they made very good livestock. Yeah, they're very docile. They're very complacent. They're completely retarded in that they have no self-preservation skills or ability to.
And they can be dangerous on their own. Like they absolutely can. Size, and they can actually be ornery. They can actually be mean. Like,
but the fact that we have, something like 70 billion cows is simply through the will of human beings and through our allowance of these animals to live and propagate and be so on a genetic level successful.
Which is why
they wouldn't exist.
Which is why Sinatra said we have dominion over animals.
Yeah, we really do. That is one of the defining factors of humanity versus the rest of the animal kingdom. Through invention and innovation, we have been able to 100% complete dominion over every other species on Earth, flora and fauna. If tomorrow we decided as a species, fuck it all, we could destroy everything.
Hey, Scotty.
No other species on Earth could do that. We do, in fact, curtail certain species that are too invasive, like deer, like wild pig. Wild pigs are delicious, first of all. But second of all, they are highly invasive, highly destructive to biodiversity.
Well, they're a smart animal. Like pigs, even domesticated, are fucking smart.
They have intelligence, but there comes a point where their natural instincts are going to cause great damage. That we as humans, we have realized that, hey, we've talked about this before, Jen, where we as humans have that responsibility and have taken up that mantle to be responsible and say, no, we have to prevent this ecological disaster. Because the Mother Nature is chaos.
Oh
People
yeah,
want to
well, I
think
mean
it's,
that's
oh, it's this happy-go-lucky balance of nature and all things. No, it's not. It's chaos. And through human intervention, we've been able to establish a little bit of order. And
I think the Care Bears have boinked their brains a little too hard. Maybe it was the My Little Ponies. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, and I will tell you, all of these vegans, not a single one has ever had to put in a hard day's work at a farm. Whether it be you know, a vegetable farm or a livestock farm, they've never put in an honest day's work, working 10 hours to the day to feed yourself at the end of that day. They've never put in actual work.
There was an article I shared like ages and ages ago, and it was that turkey farm that Sheila did an article on in Alberta. It was just one of our Mennonites farms. And, you know, it was from the CTV protester who, you know, undercover journalist who didn't like being caught and was caught. And, you know, they videotaped the inside of that barn. And you see these turkeys wandering around. And they're really happy, healthy, big birds that are just wandering right up to the people like, what the fuck are you doing in my barn?
And that was another great point, Jack, that Sinatra brought up last night was, if you want to talk factory farming processes, some of the more egregious ones where chickens and pigs are put in cages no bigger than their bodies, then yeah, we can have that discussion. Most people, you know, logically thinking people will look at that and say, that's a little egregious.
Like if I could go back to the old days where, like, you know, pigs were raised where you just like, you know, walk them up and down your lanes and whatever.
Free range.
Free range. I would love to go back to doing that. It's just the thing is, you know, if you're going to do that, you have to have a lot of smaller farms all over the place because you can't keep them that way. You can't do that with like you can't do it with like a 200 pig farm, which is the size that you can't have them any bigger than 200, I think.
I think the big problem, and I just thought of this, so, you know, feel free to say I'm wrong.
Sure,
but
stream of consciousness, go.
Yes. The problem, I think, is that vegans have love for animals, but they don't have respect for animals.
I agree with you. I agree with you because I don't think they understand
100%.
the nature of animals at all. Like I suspect that, you know, it's like Freely with their dog. Like not to bring up like YouTubers, but like we're talking vegans here. Like she had a dog that she tried to force a vegan diet on, and then all of a sudden the dog disappeared, and everyone was like, "So what happened to your dog?" And she gave it away because the dog was dying from the vegan diet she was trying to force on.
Same thing with vegan gains, yeah. And people took him to task on that, and he still would maintain, "Oh, well, I wasn't mistreating the animal." Clearly, you were. If you had to constantly be taking him to the vet, and the vet was saying this dog is in such poor health, like, I don't know how there wasn't an investigation in a legal court.
And just an ounce of pity.
Animal abuse.
An ounce of pity. How can you look at your pet and see their ribs and not feel disgusted with yourself?
They're failing health. They're sluggish.
That right there is religion. Religion is being able to look at something suffering and sit and still say to yourself, I am doing the right thing by making this animal suffer.
Mm-hmm.
Like I absolutely
taught this lion to eat tofu.
Like there are two people that I adore in this life: people who have the ability to slaughter animals and animals. Because I would have to be legit starving to death to get to the point where I feel like I would have to really kill something, because I do legit love them. But I also acknowledge that there's a cycle in life. You know, this isn't the Lion King talking. It's just the reality of the world is there's a cycle in life. I don't eat more than I need to, but like, you know, if at all possible, use everything that you can. And here's the thing, people, they do that with the cows that they kill. They use as much as they can.
Mm-hmm.
It goes towards shoes. It goes towards glue. It goes like bones are used in like plates.
Like we were talking about last stream with tripe.
Like they use
all these bits and pieces that, you know, people don't think about.
The hairs, the hair gets used. Everything gets used. So, like, you know, I understand. Like, use everything to the max. A lot of
it's money. At the end of the day, it is money, and you can't just afford to just throw away, you know, the fur if you can find a market for it. And you know, they're doing it. When I was working on the farm, my best friend for a year and a half was a pig, and it got when it was time for this pig, because he had such personality, he'd follow me along while I was doing my chores, and I cuddled with him, fed him, took care of him. But when it was time for slaughter, I would not let the owner of the farm, my patron, slaughter him. I said, no, I think it's time for me. My own internal dialogue was saying, it's time for me to be a man, to grow up and be a human being. I'm going to slaughter this pig. And I did it myself. I'm not going to lie. I did it with tears in my eyes, crying at some points uncontrollably, because yes, he was my friend. But I, at the end of the day, understood that he was going to serve a purpose, and to show him that ultimate respect, I was going to be the one wielding the knife.
Aww.
I was going to be the one who will have the first bite of his flesh to sustain me. Because that is the natural order of things. At the end of the day, yes, we are still human animals. We are still part of the animal kingdom. We are omnivorous, just like a lot of animals.
Oh,
and I'm not going to show them the disrespect.
I absolutely hate fish, but I've worked my way up to it where it's just like, well, if Justin goes full commie, because we're saying that as a joke right now, but like we're half serious,
Mm-hmm.
If he goes full commie, I'm just like, well, if I have to go figure out, fishing is pretty easy, so like that one I can figure out. But it's just the actual like killing it and then eating it. Like I know how to do it. I know how to like gut it and all that shit. My dad taught me, but I don't like fish. But if you have to eat food, right?
Mm. Like I know it's somewhat joking. One sec. In that some people seem to think that a mandatory military service of some kind, or military like boot camp training, just to instill order and respect into younger generations. I don't think maybe we should take it that far, but I do think that there should be that education of animals, farming practices and stuff that aren't being taught in urban centers, urban schooling, that would give people that respect for the process and for the animals. And, whether or not you want to be vegetarian, vegan, carnivore, I don't fucking care. Just stop trying to make me in your own image. Like you said, Jack, that is a defining characteristic of religion. You have to believe what we believe, or else you are the heretic. You're the other. You are evil.
Yeah, sometimes I don't know the situation with that place, but like some places don't necessarily use the bones, but I do know for a fact that you can absolutely use the bones for like a lot of things, like glue, gelatin, soup stocks, absolutely for glue. Going back to glue, gelatin.
Can I just say?
We did it all. I think we did them all.
Just eat the bones, bigot.
Eat the bones.
Eat the bones.
Eat the bones. Oh yeah, it was in China. Yeah, they put it in China. Like certain types of China have bones in them. I think they mix it with the clay or something.
Certain types of China.
Yeah, not like China.
Chinese people have bones.
China, like the dishes. Like the dishes. No. Well,
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. I think I've heard of bone china before.
Yeah, bone china. Bone china is like traditional. Actually, a lot of traditional teapots, teacups in England are bone china because they were like.
And there's lots of art out there in the world that uses bone. Obviously, we're not talking about the ivory trade, which is topic all unto itself, but like elephant bone and cow bone, buffalo bone, these things are used in jewelry, in detail work for certain things. I know I had a sword where the hilt, the crossguard, was made out of elephant bone.
Okay, so they sold them off. Yeah, okay, they just didn't process them. Yeah, that's normal. Yeah. I mean, you don't process things in the same planet, so.
Yeah, exactly, Shio. But like you're saying, yeah, it's stupid to just throw these products away because you can get some money for it. Why wouldn't the farmer want to do that?
Yeah, you get everything that you can from it because it's a money industry, and I mean the cows aren't cheap either because I mean they. A good farmer takes care of them. That means proper checkups from doctors. That's proper food. That's proper heating for when
proper
they're
care. Yeah, because again, at the end of the day, those animals are the person's livelihood. Yes, there's a dollar value attached to it, and every bit of that animal is worth money. But a well taken care of stock of animals is going to be worth more than poorly mistreated animals.
I mean, you look at a Kobe beef, and I mean, like, what is it like? It's like I think the last person I watched paid like $250 to maybe $300 for a 250-gram steak, which is small. And you know what? These things are raised on beer. They are cushion fed cattle.
They're probably treated better than the farmers' children.
Absolutely they are. Absolutely they are. And they're worth it because, like I said, like, you know, like that 1 little gram of meat. And I mean, like I said, they use everything, you know. Yes, they get more out of the meat because that's what they're going for, but they're going to sell everything.
Okay.
And they'll make money.
I'm afraid we need to use math.
Hey, Functional, could you imagine like a beef stock made with Kobe beef bones?
Oh yeah, totally. Totally. And hell, even a lot of beef shank.
Oh yeah.
That marrow in the bone, so delicious. So delicious. But yeah, any chunk of cow as just a half retarded, because I can't even think of the word, half competent chef could take those bits, that quarter cow or whatever, and create a multitude of things from every different piece of it, from the bone to the flesh to the skin. Like, you could turn the skin into a form of not chitlins, what are they called, the crispy things, rinds. You can turn those into delicious puffed rinds. You know, people tend to do that a lot with pork, so you get pork rinds. Like, there's so much to do with all these little bits and pieces that these idiot activists can just don't even consider because they don't have any real world experience with the animals on that level.
But that's what I mean, though. Like, you can tell that there's a lack of interaction with the animals that they claim to care about so much, because they're like, I would do everything I could to save my cat. Like, I was shoving a syringe in her mouth and force feeding her like 3 times a day, sometimes 4 times a day, because I couldn't get it down, you know, the first time, and I'd have to come back and try again, you know, and I did that for 2 weeks before I was just like, she was gone. Like, she just, cats are kind of iffy. Like, sometimes they will just decide they don't want to eat, and then their liver just decides to shut down.
Yeah, they're really hard to tell when they're sick. They don't or injured. They don't really emote very much.
Yeah.
Obviously, when they're severely injured or severely sick, yes, you can tell. But when they just act like a little bit sluggish, there could be something very wrong with them. They're just not going to emote it to you.
Yeah. And it was one of those things, like, I mean, I caught what she had right away, but like, it was just one of those things where she always was a little bit of a piggy. You know, like, I mean, I didn't have to fill her bowl all the time, but like, you know, I could tell how much she'd eaten that day just based off of what she had left. And, you know, she hadn't been eating. And I was like, well, that's really weird. She's kind of a little piggy. And I mean, she lost weight pretty quickly because, I mean, she really wasn't eating. And she was a little bit fussy because we'd moved into a place with my roommate had a dog. And, you know, she was fine for the first 5 months. And then she had this little ninja attack that I wasn't home for, where they were about to take the dog out for a walk, and for some reason my door was open, and I'd always had a baby gate, like, to keep the dog out of my room. And well, the dog was sitting there wagging its tail right in front of the door, and my cat was just like, oh, there's this thing like flopping in front of me.
Oh God.
So, you know, that scenario where the cat just decides to launch itself at the dog's ass, and like, I don't know what all she did, but all I know is I came home to this lovely picture from my roommate with the dog on the bed looking over at the cat looking up, and she's just like, Ree! And ever since then, she you know, she just stopped eating, and I was just like, did that like scare her that much? You know, I repeatedly tried to get her out of the room. Like, I brought her out in the cage specifically. Like, I would leave her in the cage, let the dog sniff her, you know, sleep around the cage, or like, you know, just trying to get her to get used to the dog. And he was a friendly enough dog. Like, he was big and he was a puppy, but like, you know, he's a sweetheart. I was never worried about him doing anything bad to her. I was more worried that she would do things to him because she was a big cat. Like she had big teeth, she had big claws, and like, you know, I don't doubt that ninja.
Gash across the nose, yeah, that would be.
You know,
fun.
like I know from scars on my arms, like, you know, and I mean, I'm not saying she was mean because she wasn't. It was just like there were times where like she would spook herself and then her claws would dig in and then I'd come back with like scratches and my mom was like, "What happened to the cat?" I'm like, well, there was somebody outside the room and she flipped.
Cat.
Welcome to the party, pal.
You know, but I loved her to bits. It was just one of those things. I was just like, okay, well, I got to trim those now, and that was just the learning curve to trim the cat's tail, you know, the nails. And actually, it's good to get the little nubs on them.
So they still have claws, but it keeps them.
It's better for you. It's better for your furniture.
Yeah, Bobo's little claws are fucking razor blades.
Yeah, so you see what I mean? Like they're not doing it.
The problem is she's the type of prissy little kitty that can't bathe her, can't clip her nails, can't do anything. I just let her live. Just let her live her life.
Yeah, she was a like I said, she was a good cat. But like I said, that was that one little incident, and I came home, and like I said, she must have been slowly cutting back on the food, you know, because like, you know, it was like at least within the week, I'd noticed right away that like, okay, there's something going on here because like I'd filled it, but like I was like, you know, usually I filled it at least twice by now. And, you know, I was like cuddling her, you know, I spent a couple nights just spending time with her. I'm like, are you okay? And then I was like, okay, I'm going to take you to the doctor because you're doing this. And she'd completely stopped eating. And that was just it. Like I forced her to eat and she wasn't going to eat. And I was like, well, I can't force you to eat.
There's only so much you can do for someone.
You know, and the operation I would have had to do for her because her liver was so destroyed would have cost me $2,000.
Oh.
So naturally I was like, well, I can't do anything. So I just made sure she had a good couple warm days for like 3 days, you know, fed her, made sure she was comfortable.
Comfortable, loved. Yeah.
Loved. And then, you know, I took her in and
that's, you know, sometimes that's enough because again, if we didn't have such complete dominion over these animals and domesticating cats and dogs, they would have a much harder life out there. Like look at stray cats. Stray cats have a very hard life out there.
Well, I mean, like you look at how fussy she was. Like one little fight with a dog where, I mean, she still won. He couldn't even get her anyway. She was under the bed and too far away for him to get her. So, I mean, she already won. And like I said, she had she could have like gotten over it. Honestly, it's not like it's the first time a cat has gotten over it. But I think it was more the fact that I was sharing my attention than anything else. I think a lot of it was jealousy because like I'm not going to be unfriendly to the dog because I love my cat. You know, I'm not that person, you know? So like I had times where I was on the couch hanging out with my roommate and the dog was sleeping on my lap. You know, it's not like and then I go and sleep in my bed with my cat and my cat's like, you cheater.
And just to address Matt, you know what, dude?
Go suck a dick, suck a dick, suck a motherfucking dick. Suck a huge one.
How you doing, trucker?
Love you, buddy, but yeah, I'm not putting a ring on your finger. I'm sorry. I'm just not that into you. You're a very handsome, well-spoken man, but I'm already taken.
Well, I am so cheeky right now. I think we're almost going into the second hour, so let's keep it going for a little bit longer, and then I might call it because I don't want to have them calling me up and being like, so hey.
Speaking about doing things with dead animals and bones and stuff.
Uh-oh.
There's an article that I posted in the Discord from Edmonton about amputee. You should call it up.
Can't you? You know the article.
I can.
Well, I can at least bring it up. Let me just copy link because
Since we're in a lull here, I think that I just heard somebody enter the house, so I got to get going because that's probably my mom, and she's gonna want to do dinner related stuff. So
Okay. Well,
thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Shit.
Hi to
yo.
your mom.
Shill yo
Okay.
shit, bitch.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna just type my name. I'm just gonna type hi in the chat, and you can go to my channel and subscribe. Quippers United. It's a Jackbox games that we play with people every week. Jen and Functional are frequent guests on it.
Yes.
And you have a special event coming up.
I have a special event coming up on the 14th. It's going to be couples night. So Functional and Elwin will be there, and Shio and Shio's wife, Jabberwocky, will be there. And I'm going to see if I can't get Moonshock's wife on there. So,
that'd be awesome. I
yeah.
still haven't heard any responses to that yet from Moonshock, so I'll have to hound him later on Lords of the Night.
That's a great idea. When you proposed that to me, I was like, "Hey, that sounds really awesome."
Because he kept
I know, it
promising
does.
that he was going to show her that last stream, and that was fun. That was fun.
Yes, he told me that she did in fact watch it, and she thought it was hilarious.
And many people do Jackbox games on streams, but few do it like Jack Gunsky do it.
Yep. And also next week, and this isn't a definite, but we may have Magog on.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that would be pretty cool.
And I'm still trying to work out something with Ghastly, so I don't know what the.
He's
when the next
American,
time is.
isn't he? I'm just calling it now because for some dumb reason I thought he was Canadian.
They're both
But
American.
Who, Ghastly?
No, not Ghastly.
Magog.
Magog.
No, Magog. I'm pretty sure Magog's American.
Yeah,
he's
I'm pretty
American.
sure he
He's from
is.
like Virginia or something.
Virginia? Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know where it came up. I don't know. It was somebody said he was from Canada, and I was like,
No,
is he?
he just sounds like it because he's a bit of a hick. Ohio or
Is
something.
that what it is?
Yeah,
All right.
he's in the quote unquote flyover states.
All right, so if I greet him, I can call him fake Canadian.
Mhm.
Well, anyway,
Yep.
thank you for having me on the show, and I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Enjoy
Later.
dinner.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Later.
All right, so we've got this article, and I flipped off because I'm silly, and I was like, wow, I'm a whole hell of a lot late for my stream to be over, but that's okay. So this 13 charged after bear spray discharged at Saskatoon Mall. Ooh. Why did she even have it? Okay.
It doesn't explain it in the article. That's the thing that like blows my mind.
Like, how does she even have that kind of thing? Like, I mean,
We'll
that's
read
a
the
little-
article. What does it say?
Yeah. Saskatoon police have charged a 13-year-old girl and are investigating several boys after one of them allegedly discharged bear spray at a Saskatoon shopping mall on Saturday. Investigators say they were called to Midtown Plaza at about 5:30 p.m. after someone reported that an unknown substance was dispersed into the air. Police say that the girl and 3 boys were involved in a fight with an unknown male during which one of the boys discharged bear spray. Oh my goodness. Police say nobody was injured and the boys and the alleged victim left the mall before officers arrived. The girl has been charged with assault with a weapon, possession of a weapon for a dangerous purpose, and administer a noxious substance. I think they mean administering a noxious substance. Police are investigating the other parties and say that everyone involved in the incident knew each other. This report by the Canadian Press was published, blah, 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 December 29th, 2019.
So, first off, I have to ask, how do they charge her with this stuff without having the full, like all the details? If they're still investigating, whether or not it's a
I can understand if it was pending charges or something.
Yeah. But I mean, like, if this other dude that she apparently got into some sort of altercation with, if she was being attacked and she used the bear spray as a defense thing, you know, girls carry rape whistles and bear spray and
she's still going to get charged for bear spray because bear spray is not on the list of things that you can have.
Yes.
But I mean, you know, they're going to lighten the sentence because she's young for that one, I could see understanding lightening the sentence. I could see that being more directed at her parents, because how the hell did she get a can of bear spray?
Yeah, that was the other thing. Where does a 13-year-old get bear spray? Probably from her parents. Probably had it at home. And the other side of the argument would be, well, what if this girl and her guy friends came to attack this other person, fully well knowing? So the context really isn't being played out in the article. But
and the other thing too is like, who actually had the bear spray? Because what if one of the boys had the bear spray and they gave it to the girl? Like they don't know any of that stuff. They're just starting off with like, there's nothing in there for it. But yeah, that's still kind of crazy that they had bear spray. Like it doesn't really.
I somewhat appreciate articles like this that are succinct and to the point, give you what information is there, don't really go on at length like a CNN or an MSNBC does about, oh, well, now here's what I think about what happened. And you're reading through the article like, okay, well, which part of this is supposition and which is where are the facts? At least, we're still clinging on to some of that with some of this reporting, because I'd like to know more. This is an interesting little article.
Yeah, exactly. And then
I'm a little bit distracted by Harry's cute little baby, who's a cute little baby. I don't really have to give a shit about your mom. I think your mom's a little bit in love with herself, and she should just get over it a little bit. But otherwise, I mean, you're fine. She's fine. You're fine. You're cute though. Not as cute as Squeetus, but you're cute.
Ooh, a new Mr. Misanthropic video. Sorry.
Right.
I just saw that it posted.
I took that down, so we're good.
And then the other article that I was talking about is in the side chat there. I read that and I was just like, wow, that guy is so metal. Functional would really appreciate it.
Oh, this guy. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Guy in Alberta had to have his arm amputated and was able to taxidermy and preserve the bones of his right arm from the shoulder joint down to the fingers. So he's got his amputated, bleached and glued together taxidermied arm. I think that's fucking cool, because when I had one of my a tumor removed, I wanted to keep it in a little vial around my neck and be like, look, if I can beat cancer, I can beat your stank ass.
I just where he has it placed right now is very hilarious to me, because he has it behind his kitchen sink on a shelf right now.
And yeah, that guy's fucking metal.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm glad that they allowed him to do this, because in most cases there are certain elements of biohazard that you can't. It is the biggest reason, and why I understood why they couldn't give me my tumor. They don't know what I'm going to do with potentially active cancer cells. Like that could be used, and that should be somewhat controlled biological waste. But yeah, if you want your bones and you're gonna ensure that it goes to somebody who can handle it properly, why not? Like maybe I could have found somebody who would have encased my tumor into amber. That would be cool. And have this
great. And then they clone you.
And no, so I could have this amber pendant and hang it around my neck and be like, yeah, there's my tumor. It was only the size of a pea. It wasn't a big tumor. Easily caught because it was in my orbital bone.
Weird.
Great.
Fascinating stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, as humans, we all have cancer cells. It all depends on whether or not they start mutating and all that shit. It's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand. My mother, she's a retired cancer nurse, so I know way too much than I should as a normal individual. Plus, my dad did die of lung cancer, so I know. Again, medical science is like second nature to me. So.
So yeah, we completely glazed over it. So new laws are going to be going into something I was talking about earlier with vaping. New laws are going to be coming into effect across the United States. These are federal laws that are going to be, banning a lot of flavored vape juices. I wasn't sure on the wording of it if they're like going to also ban like menthol cigarettes, but I know menthol juice All these things, they're going to be just outright banned, knee-jerk reaction. But here in Canada, in 2020, we're going to have new laws and rules that are going to be coming into play for cannabis and vaping regulations in certain provinces and, of course, Canada-wide. There's going to be federal, not just vaping laws, but federal tax changes, changes to the Divorce Act, which is something that is actually could be a long time coming. Bill C-78, the changes include updated criteria to determine a child's best interests in a custody cases, as well as measures to address family violence when making parenting arrangements. The changes also aim to make the family justice system more accessible and affordable for everyone involved. The Divorce Act applies to married couples who are divorcing, while provincial and territorial legislation applies to all other spousal separations, including those involving unmarried and common law couples. So I don't know the extent of this. I haven't been completely caught up to date on what it all was. I know that they have been making more concessions to make the hearings to determine a child's best interest, whatever that may mean, to be more fair between men and women. So hopefully we can see a little bit more parity in courts, where clearly, by all logical standards, the father should get
The
majority
custody.
or sole custody of the children due to drug use, violence, inability to work, negligence, all these things that the mother may or may not be guilty of. But because it's the mother, the courts will naturally side with them. So I'm going to have to do a little bit more research into that. I am a little bit more on the optimistic side with these with 78 than I am skeptical, because I know that these things were being talked about for quite a while now.
I'm actually really glad that something like this is happening, because like I know way too many guys that are just like really, really good dads, and they just got so fucked over by the courts.
Oh yeah, my best friend for most of my life got screwed over because of the courts, because he'd literally have to pay thousands of dollars to basically lose a court case, whereas she had all the rights in the world. Like, it was ridiculous. Overhauling Indigenous child welfare system. So in BC, we got the minimum wage increase. Oh, here we are. New vaping regulations in BC. Province is planning to roll out much tougher rules when it comes to sale and promotion of vaping products. Among the new rules, provincial sales tax on vaping products will increase significantly from 7 to 20%. That's your sin tax. But if you cannot show that there is a drastic increase in health and an impact on somebody's health in negative ways, you should not be allowed to overhaul like such an egregious tax increase like this. It went from the standard 7% sales tax to 20%. That's a 13% surtax, because it's a sin. You know, it's a vice. But they don't take into consideration the net health benefits for it. So stupid. BC is also eliminating their provincial healthcare premiums for their residents, which is kind of good. Those are beyond taxation premiums for their healthcare plan. Alberta is getting their carbon tax.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they're and here's the thing is we already had it because of Notley.
It's going to be an increase of $10. So it was $10. It's going up to $20 over the course until April 2020. Oh, sorry. It was at $20 most recently per ton of CO2 until April 2020, when the price is going to rise to $30 per ton. That's just fucked up.
It's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And everyone out here is already struggling as it is. It's just and I mean it's fine. I mean at least we've managed to keep our heat down. You know, I haven't had to heat my house for a while.
Mm.
Because it's not cold. It hasn't been cold. So I'm just,
Yeah. Oh, I don't like the idea on principle for a carbon tax. For me to get into it would just be too long. I don't want to get too far into it, but I just don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair when the end users aren't the primary reason. It's corporate interests, it's corporate profiteering, and if corporations can make billions off of producing products while putting that carbon in the air, it shouldn't be the end user's responsibility to have to deal with that. They are not the ones profiting from it. They are the ones burning that fuel to heat their homes or to fuel their vehicles so that they can get to work, so that they can just survive. Because we tend to not think of the majority of humankind is still just trying to get by, just trying to survive. And yes, we have so many more innovations and luxuries that make our lives easier to not only get through, but to mentally cope with. You know, like social media, like technology, computers, video games, movies, etc., to just help you forget escapism, to help you forget your daily survival grind for a couple hours here and there. Anyway, I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent. Again, in Alberta, we're getting some new family law changes. It's basically just a matrimonial property act just to sort of help alleviate some of the red tape when unmarried couples, common law or long-time live-together partners who, when you live with someone for a long time, you have a lot of common property. And this just helps alleviate some of that. I know one of the things was an initial like a pre-meeting between the two parties with their legal representation, if they have it, to sort of draw up a draft as opposed to going directly to court. So it'll help alleviate some of that stuff. So it's, it's a little bit of a good thing for Alberta. Saskatchewan, huge fines, because they were one of the last provinces to institute distracted driving fines. It's almost doubling from $280 to $580 and 4 demerit points. We have a demerit system here in Canada in each of the different provinces. But it's a big thing because this is one of the good things that I will say that government does, is that they can see a problem like this, address it, and make it not worth your while on some sort of level to not break the law with something that has been on the and causing lots of accidents and, in a lot of cases, physical harm to other people. A second distracting driving offense within the same year will cost $1,400, another 4 demerits, and an immediate week-long vehicle seizure. A third offense in the same year will cost the driver $100, and I think a revocation of your license. So yes, if you get that first-time offense, it is kind of a pay your fine and move on with your life. But if you're going to be a repeat offender, you're going to be taken to task, and good. I think if people don't learn their lesson the first time and they're going to constantly text while on the highway, and as somebody who's been in a severe vehicle accident because some cunt decided to run a red light because she was putting on fucking lipstick.
Yeah.
And basically got a slap on the wrist because you're not allowed to sue in the province of Ontario for somebody who's criminally negligent in such a case. The insurance will fight you tooth and nail to cover your property that you've been insuring for many, many years. So there is the promise of someday, one day down the line, recouping some of the cost of the actual material. But you can't sue the other driver for negligence or criminal negligence. Changes to federal carbon tax rebates in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, federal carbon tax
They're
rebate.
not gonna like that.
No, these are the rebates. These are the rebates. So it's oh God, this is what we were talking about a couple streams ago about creating economy for the sake of economy. So you're going to be charging people through taxes, carbon tax, just so that you can give them back money through their carbon tax rebates. It's a fucking scam.
It is a fucking scam, and I hate to break it to them, but like most of the people that get that money back, they don't put it towards fixing up their houses so they're more carbon friendly. They usually put it towards groceries because we're all broke.
Yeah, like I said, at the
I put it towards bills and groceries.
Surviving. Very few, a very tiny percentage of the world lives a life of complete luxury. People don't seem to realize this.
It's like I feel absolutely terrible about it. I'm like, listen, you guys, I'd rather be able to afford my own shit. I'd rather have a job. I'd rather that businesses could afford to hire me. Which, I mean, I'm talking about the little businesses now. I'm not just talking about the big businesses, because it's clear that the big businesses here are starting to suffer too. We are running because only so many people have work. It's I mean, at least the majority of us do. Like, I mean, 8% is still a lot. I think it's gone up.
Mm-hmm.
But 8% of the population is a lot in a province. Like that's 8% of 4.9 million people.
And that brings us to Ontario. And the big news of the day here in Ontario is that there's not going to be any more out-of-country health insurance coverage from our provincial provider. Even though we've paid for it, we don't get it because, once again, just proving that insurance, on whether the private or publicly funded way, is a scam. You do not get what you paid for. Ontarians who fall ill while traveling can no longer claim the $400 a day maximum coverage for inpatient emergency care and the $50 a day maximum allowed for emergency outpatient services such as MRI or CAT scan that until now were provided by OHIP. The government said that they're defending their decision because they're saying that the coverage was minimal and inefficient. So, okay, I agree. Maybe you should scrap it, but have something in place because, again, it's something we fucking pay for, you fucking criminals. We pay into healthcare for a fucking reason. So now what they want to do is they want to open up the market in Ontario for private health insurance. So now that when you get your private travel health insurance, that, you're going to have to rely on that exclusively. Now, the big problem with that is how many articles do we see every year of these criminal organizations called insurance companies fucking people over who go from, I know here specifically in Ontario, because we had that sort of subsidy coverage, who go abroad to even just to the United States and are completely fucked over by not only their medical bills because the American system is so expensive, but because the private insurance that they bought in addition to their socialized insurance wasn't enough and wasn't paying out and was getting their elbows so far into Mustafa, getting so far, getting their dirty little grubby greedy fingers into every little aspect and preventing proper coverage. And it really disgusts me because I know people like Magic will say no government institution has ever done anything right. And it's because of reasons like this. We see big reasons like this where they just fail. They act like fucking criminal mafioso organizations. Like it'd be a sure shame there if something were to happen to you on your way to work. If you give us 60% of your income, we can make sure that if something bad happens, you'll be taken care of. It's nothing more than a racketeering fucking scheme. And without proper regulation, they work freely. They have free run to rip off their customers and act like a criminal organization. The insurance company as a whole. And I speak specifically about Ontario because I haven't really dealt with on that level, on that personal level, with anything outside of Ontario-based insurance. And it was maybe like 20 years ago, they made it mandatory that you had to have at-fault insurance to have your license to drive a car in Ontario.
The way you guys run businesses is so weird in comparison. Like, I'm just saying, like, all around, it's
almost like a weird amalgam of a socialized system and a private for-profit system.
Yeah.
Which is really weird to me because, you know, they'll do something like this and see, oh, well, it's minimal and really inefficient. Well, instead of fixing the fucking problem, you're just cutting it. Or the other side of the coin where the liberals would be like, oh, well, let's just throw $350 billion at it. Neither is a good fucking decision. Get a third party panel to, you know, read the facts, the statistics, everything about it, and come back with some sort of way to fix the problems, not just gut them or throw money at them. Neither way is a good. Anyway,
I think we should start closing things down a little bit. I'm definitely being cheeky because I think I'm like, what, 2 hours and 20 minutes over at least?
They can't
2 hours and 15.
You haven't.
Well, it's not even just that. Like,
well, we'll close up. Let me just get to the last two quick ones. E-scooters on roads in Ontario. They're going to let the municipalities decide, but they are basically going to. You have to be at least 16, wearing a helmet, all those safety precautions, and I believe they might be allowing them technically, like legally on paper, on roads, even though people have been using them for the last 5-10 years. And there's hyper restrictions. I know I've talked to you guys about my tobacco. It now comes in literally a black package with just in white type saying this brand or that brand. And there's going to be hyper red restrictions on advertising for vaping products here in Ontario as well. So again, we're not doing this properly. We're doing it the wrong way, and it's really to their detriment. Anyway, but yeah, we can close it all down. Thank you so much for
thank you guys. Always. Like I said, like I'm pretty sure by next week when I stream next, it's not going to be an issue anyway. And for the most part, these are the only streams that I do on StreamYard. So like I probably should keep it to like 250 about 250 because I mean I do 2 a week, so that should make me out to 20 hours.
Talk about it after the stream.
Yeah. So yeah, we could definitely talk about it afterwards. It's not a big deal. I keep crashing early, and I mean yesterday was on purpose because I was pouting because I didn't have any more pot. But
that's okay. I'm crashing pretty hard because of my ventures, my ventures with Elwyn today out shopping. But I'm also starving. I haven't eaten anything all day, so I got to get to that.
Absolutely, James. You can DM me if you want to. I'm always kind of around. Like if I'm not DMing you back, it's probably because I've crashed. Like I like I said, when I sleep,
we're pretty active on Discord though. That's sort of our go-to common social media type thing.
Yeah, I just don't turn on the green because the green just invites everyone to talk to me all the time, and it's just it's not that I'm opposed to talking. It's just if I'm
I always treat that like I do texting or anything else.
Yeah.
I have, as the recipient of something, unless it's an emergency, I have no obligation to immediately respond to you, whether I'm online or not. I might be doing something. I might not just want to talk to you right in that moment. You don't take it personally. You leave the person a message, and when they can, at their leisure, they will respond to you.
Absolutely, and I'm actually pretty good about it too. Like I do check it regularly enough, so that's not an issue anyway. But yeah, it's like I said with Twitter, you know, it's not that I do appreciate the follows on Twitter because it does allow me the chance to DM you. Like it's not just you DMing me, which I appreciate. It allows me to DM you. Because if I can't get you on here, you know, it's just the ability to give a shout out if I'm looking for somebody to come on or if anybody wants me to come on to a show or something. Like it's just I find Discord works. It just works.
Yeah.
Whereas Twitter,
clunky.
Yeah, Twitter hasn't always announced it, you know. And I don't do Facebook because Facebook is geared towards my family, and I don't really particularly care for Facebook. Like, I mean, I go on there every once in a while, and I'm just, it's not what it was back when I
That seems to be
started.
the big thing right now is people are just kind of keeping it more so for family. I have seen a lot more people who've been heated by the higher ups in the tech industry, Sargon, Atheism is Unstoppable, et cetera, they'll post their new content there because it's easier for people to get that information than through Twitter, because Twitter doesn't like these people or they've been yeeted off the platform. But other than that, yeah, it seems to be, especially in our generation, that it's more just for family, more for a personal connection than it is for social connection.
Well, it's not the same as when it started out. Like, I mean,
keep mine very private. I mean, I advertise to my family and friends that I do a show, but other than that, I don't network through Facebook. You know?
Yeah, it's even down to like the stupid little Facebook games. Like, there was always at least 2 that I would play for at least 1 or 2 friends that I didn't like absolutely hate.
Oh, you're one of those people?
How dare you?
I didn't spam people with it.
Oh,
it was one of those things where, like, I made it a point to only.
Are you sure? Because some of those Facebook Zynga games would do it automatically, and it drove me nuts.
Zynga was bad.
I had to sit down with my hand and be like, okay, Auntie, you have to do this, and then it won't show up for anyone unless you actually request it. And she's like, oh, okay, thanks.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm getting annoying seeing 300 in a day.
Every game that I ever had, I did that for. And the thing is the games are pretty good about linking you to who actually does play the game. Like, they will tell you, oh, this person plays. So then you can like click on just those people and indicate to the game no one else. Absolutely no one else. And you do it through Facebook, and you can do it through the game. I did it through both because I actually hated some games too. Like, the spamming ones I absolutely hated. You know, it was just one of those things, like there was always 1 or 2 games that I liked to play, like on the off chance that I was bored or I was waiting for something and I just wanted to play something for like 5 minutes. And that's what those were for. And I refuse to spend money on those type of games. I actually hate, I don't really like the pay for games because it's just the pay to play cheaters. I don't like them.
I don't like those assholes. I like
Get
them.
good scrub, and yet you can't even play your character. Years of playing League. Oh my god, I could go on for hours.
I mean, don't get me wrong; they're designed to be fun, you know. And if you play them legit, they can be fun. But most people, like, you know, you run into people who just spend, and I'm like, that's not. Oh, I don't want to play that. I don't want to do that. I used to do like one of the angel ones, and then I did a mimic a Slotomania thing. Because I don't believe in gambling, but I can understand the appeal. I never spent a penny on it either.
Yeah.
Shit, now that I actually open up some of my social media, I do see some of the fucking... Wow, there's a lot of news to go through, but yeah. That's the end of us.
Yeah, I was supposed to like quit like ages ago, and I went into like Facebook games, but that's what they do. That's how they're designed. I used to joke that if they designed mind control games, they would win. They would have won already. They did win. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe too many of these kids were playing like Farmville when they were growing up. And so they think that Farmville is like, you know, you just go up to a cow and it gives you milk. It's just your friend. But anyway, I will catch you guys all next time.
Where's my song? I wanted to play something different today because I'm in a better mood than the "Fuck It All" song. Oh my god, I had it.
Functional.
I had it. Where did it go? It's so ready.
Before we close out, I'm going to tell one Shio joke because that's pretty funny. A fat woman with a rape whistle? Heh. Optimistic.
Bravo over to that one.
God damn it! I wanted to fucking this pisses me off because I have such a long list of. You know what? Fuck it. Because of that, we have been your slow Mexicans. Thank you for joining us. Good night, everybody.
Saturday.
Later.